In this edition of RPP News, the MP for Hastings delivers his maiden speech. We remember Luke Batty, and Frankston's biggest summer celebration is nearly here. Hello, I'm Catie Sharp. Welcome to the latest edition of RPP News, bringing you stories from across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula. Achilles Task Force officers have arrested a 21-year-old Mount Martha man following an alleged hoon event in Truganina last October. Police arrested the man on Monday and executed a search warrant, finding 2 imitation firearms and the keys to a Holden Commodore, but no car. After further inquiries, investigators executed another warrant at an address in Hastings, where it is alleged the car was located in the backyard with its plates removed. The 21-year-old has been charged with reckless conduct endangering life and serious injury, reckless driving, possession of an imitation firearm and other offences. He was bailed to appear at Sunshine Magistrates Court in August, but will be taking the bus home as police have made an application to have the car destroyed. Mornington Peninsula Shire has sworn in a new councillor to represent the Seawinds ward. The council met for the first time this year in Chambers on Tuesday when Mayor Steve Holland invited Simon Brooks to take his place in office. He replaces Kerry McCafferty following her resignation in December. Councillor Brooks previously represented Seawinds from 2016 to 2020. At the same meeting, Councillor Susan Bissinger successfully tabled a motion to convene a task group to examine how homeowners can free up or build granny flats and small secondary buildings on their properties to help address the housing crisis. Councillor Bissinger spoke passionately about the issue, saying housing is an urgent and pressing concern on the peninsula.
We don't need to look at roadblocks, and we don't need to look necessarily at what other people are doing. We need to find loopholes, and we need to find areas that we can use our local laws to work for us. If it means sticking wheels underneath some things, or if it means small things that we can do within our local law system to get this up and running, then that is something that we should do. If we're going to be sitting around just waiting for a decision from state government about changing planning matters and all that sort of stuff, we can sit around for years and the situation just escalates.
Meanwhile, Paul Mercurio, the new state MP for Hastings, has delivered his inaugural speech to Parliament. In a moving speech that highlighted many of the unheard voices in communities, he spoke about the importance of representing what he called the forgotten side of the peninsula.
Speaker, I come from the wrong side of the peninsula. I come from the forgotten side. That's what most people feel on the Western Port side, and yet Western Port has so much to offer and has so much potential. We all know how special this unique and forgotten side of the peninsula, or the Ninch, is. The amazing potential it has, and I am excited to say that finally, after 16 years in opposition hands, being the forgotten side is over. This community has a seat in the Labor government, and I plan to capitalise on that to the fullest.
Nominations inviting people to fill Mr Mercurio's previous role as councillor for the Peninsula's Watson ward opened this week. You must be enrolled as a voter on the peninsula to be eligible. Anyone interested in representing their local community can put their name forward until Tuesday the 14th. There has been local anger over the protection of the hooded plover on the peninsula. Mark Lethlean is the president of the Friends of the Hooded Plover Mornington Peninsula and coordinator of a beach nesting program for BirdLife Australia. He has spoken out against a Herald Sun article that reported an exchange between a young female ranger and a member of the public. The article claimed that the ranger was aggressive and overbearing when she pointed out to a family that the sand dunes where they had been playing were off limits to protect the threatened nesting plovers. Mr Lethlean told RPP the accusations levelled at the local ranger were completely unfounded.
We would not normally get involved in this, but when these people vilify a young ranger who's just doing a job, and I know absolutely is just a gentle and would not have done anything wrong in this situation. She's done it 100 times, and for him to vilify her without any recourse is just, it's abhorrent.
The 7th annual Luke Batty Memorial Shield took place last Friday between the Tyab and Victoria Police cricket clubs, and RPP was there.
Here for the Luke Batty Memorial Trophy, it's one of those devastating stories which rip apart a community, and on both sides of the fence have been affected, Tyab and also Vic Police. So this event throughout, in particular, is really important for both communities to understand what happens and get the community together and support it. I mean, it's a tragedy, there's no doubt about it, and events like this put smiles on people's faces. The sun's out, cricket's a great game for bonding people, and here we are. It's excellent.
Well, I think it brings the community together. It informs people new to the community about the cause. A lot of the players that actually want to play today are kids that played with Luke or dads that coached Luke. So it's more than the result of the game. It's more about giving something back and raising some awareness too.
I mean, the incident itself generally is a horrible thing, but not a lot of people understand that police are actually human beings as well. We go home at night, we go to our families, we put our heads on the pillow, and once your eyes close, things start to come back, and that's what affects some people. Unfortunately, that affected one of our colleagues, one of our close friends in this area, to the point where he lost his battle with PTSD, and we're coming in to support him and make the Man of the Match award in his name. Paul Topham was his name. He was a senior constable at Frankston and Hastings and the Highway Patrol.
We're here to support his comrades, the men and women in uniform, and hope to try to prevent or curtail some of the tragedies that are occurring. It's an insidious disease, very hard to treat, and our son showed a lot of bravery to last as long as he did.
Year this event's been running. It's the top of our calendar every year. We love coming down. Thank you to our special guests. Thank you to our special guests that have come down today to help boost the profile of the game. We're looking forward to getting into it on behalf of the Victoria Police Cricket Team. Thanks very much. Trent, you've got a couple of things to say?
Yeah, just want to welcome everyone. Like Oda said, this is the 8th time we're all going to be meeting here. We're really, really excited. It's a competitive game, but don't be so competitive. But remember that we've won the last 3 as a big poll. So get out there, have some fun. We're really excited to welcome. In the last couple of years, we've had Mr. Greg Hunt bowl the first ball. We're really excited and very happy to have Mr. Paul Mercurio here. So everyone, welcome Paul.
I'm here for comedy. You'll know why when you see me bowl the first ball. I haven't played cricket since I was 10 years old, and I turn 60 next month, so it could be very interesting. I was going to do something like... Oh, that's perfect. Wow. That'll do. Play ball. Come on. I like it. Yeah, nice. Oh, out! No.
That's better than John Howard anyway. Good stuff.
Enjoy.
Mr. Mercurio, congratulations, first ball. How are you feeling? How's the
I'm a little bit sore, but I think I pulled up all right after that first bowl. It was a cracker. I've just come this way because when I did do the bowl, I got some pretty positive feedback about how great I bowled. And here's a gentleman. You saw me bowl, and yep. How'd you feel about that?
Stick the ballroom dancing, I reckon. My 8-year-old can make full length. But
anyway, let's keep moving, and thanks very much for that. Look, it's a great event, a really, really great event, and I'd rather not be here for the reasons we're here. Family violence and what kind of just keeps happening in our community. But this is about making an effort, doing the positive things to make change. So great to be here, raising some money, looking after the community.
Good luck, thanks.
And Frankston's biggest summer extravaganza, the Waterfront Festival, is back next weekend. Set on Frankston's iconic waterfront, the festival delivers live music, delicious food and drink, a great range of market stalls, cultural and waterfront activities, rides and amusements galore, and of course the always celebrated fireworks display on Saturday night. Enjoy rock legends You Am I, Tando, Melbourne Ska Orchestra, Kylie Aldist and many more. Ventana 2023 will be there, a celebration of Latin, Mediterranean and Filipino culture that includes workshops, local food and even Mexican wrestling. Or try sailing with Frankston Yacht Club for real thrill seekers. Events kick off at 12 noon and details are at waterfrontfestival.com.au. RPP FM will be broadcasting live from the festival on both days, so be sure to stop by and say hello when you see the RPP van. We go now to David Robertson with the Bendigo Bank Market Update.
The ninth successive RBA rate hike wasn't a surprise for markets, but has created a wide range of views on when rates will peak. Our latest thoughts and forecasts for 2023. The February hike to 3.35% was driven by the high read for core inflation released last month, and evidence that our economy still has reasonable momentum. So, the comment from the RBA that further increases in interest rates will be needed over the months ahead does seem to be definitive. They've got more work to do to make sure that this spike in inflation is only temporary, and a warning of potentially more than one rate hike ahead. The CPI rate of 7.8% for the end of 2022 was as forecast, but core inflation at 6.9% was well above consensus and RBA forecasts. So, while both these measures should steadily fall from this peak, inflation is a central bank's worst fear, so the RBA are acting decisively. The next rate hike to 3.6% is now likely in March, depending on where wages and jobs data lands later this month. And then the next quarterly inflation numbers are out in late April. So, while we're still expecting a plateau in interest rates at about 3.6% by May, and evidence that inflation has peaked will help this view, we still only expect a pause in hikes with a tightening bias intact and don't see rate cuts on the horizon. For the RBA to cut rates, we'll need core inflation back below 3%, which might not happen until late 2024. And the latest news on China reopening their economy actually supports a stronger rebound in tourism and other service exports such as international education. We were already calling for a soft landing in 2023 prior to this welcome news that Chinese authorities have abandoned their COVID-0 policies. So, this faster path back to pre-pandemic levels of overseas arrivals, as well as stronger appetite for our exports, will all help to offset the reality of much higher interest rates weighing on household spending. The risk of a recession in the US, UK and much of Europe hasn't disappeared, but China's reopening may result in shallower recessions. And for Australia, while the economy will be growing more slowly and unemployment is likely to edge higher, we expect that outperformance from our major trade partners should help us to avoid a hard landing. We expect the unemployment rate to head back above 4% this year, higher than RBA forecasts, but still lower than 2019 levels. And unlike last year, access to labour for businesses should improve. Stock markets don't appear to be pricing in recession here or almost anywhere around the world, and the latest US jobs data may imply a longer cycle, deferring the time of recessions overseas and justifying these values. But Australia's recent outperformance is a pleasing outcome. Similarly, the Aussie dollar has also outperformed this year, but it's not going to be one-way traffic ahead. And lastly, property prices continue to fall as borrowers bear the brunt of the rate hikes. So the peak to trough decline so far of 8.9% nationally is a record fall for residential property. But there's a wide range of outcomes by location, and these falls do need to be considered in the context of large increases during the pandemic, low unemployment for now, and potentially a rise in demand for property from overseas. And that's the market update from Bendigo Bank.
After the break, we have the coming week's weather report.
Hey, they're saying the fire danger rating's extreme. Should we go?
There's no fire around here.
Get out!
I know embers can spread bushfires as far as 40 kilometres, so you should leave early.
Authorised by the Victorian Government.
Everyone knows Australia has 4 big banks, but the 5th biggest retail bank is snapping at their heels. It's a bank that's been around for over 160 years, can be found in over 500 locations nationwide, looks after over 1.8 million customers, and is regularly voted one of the most trusted brands out of all the thousands of brands in Australia. Who is this fantastic number 5? Yep, it's Bendigo Bank. The better big bank.
Established in 1988, Progress Signs has been servicing the local community for 30 years. Located on the Mornington Peninsula, they are the #1 destination for all your signage needs, specialising in a variety of signage from vehicles to shop fronts, occasional and corporate events, short-term, long-term and everything in between. If it's signs you need, be it large or small, Progress Signs is the place to call. Available 24/7 at progress-signs.com.au or call the team on 5975 9188. Thinking signs? Think Progress Signs, a station sponsor.
Welcome back. Let's now turn to this week's weather. Today, Sunday the 12th of February, has brought us a cloudy day with a high of 20 degrees and a low of 16. Monday should be a partly cloudy day, bringing us a high of 21 degrees and a low of 13. Tuesday sees the cloud cover continue with a high of 22 and a low of 14. Wednesday the 15th of February sees a warm, sunny day with a high of 25 degrees and a low of 13 degrees. Thursday, yet another sunny day. We can expect a high of 27 degrees and a low of 16 degrees. Friday sees some cloud cover returning, bringing us a high of 29 degrees and a low of 17. And Saturday brings us a partly overcast day with a high of 27 and a low of 14 degrees. And now to our surf guru Muzz with the Surf Report.
Hey, it's Muzz back with this week's Peninsula Surf Report. Not a lot on the horizon this week. I think Saturday looks like the best day in the forecast, probably on the beach breaks in that sort of metre and a half range. And in the morning, it should be an easterly, maybe a northeasterly. Then there'll be a change coming through overnight into Sunday as well. Really not going to come up too much this week, which last Friday, Saturday, Friday especially was one of the best days so far this year for swell. And through next week, it's pretty much going to be onshore most of the week, and a bit of a jump in the swell Tuesday into Wednesday, but maybe only sort of smallish waves in Western Port those 2 days. Later in the week, it pretty much follows the same pattern. I won't be around for a couple of weeks, I'm going away, so you'll just have to rely on your own methods to see what the surf's like. But February into March, usually one of the best times of the year, so just keep an eye on the weather map. There can be swell, there can be lots of offshore days, there can be lots of good surf, so enjoy, and I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
And that's all from our team here at RPP News, serving the community with stories that matter to you. Keep watching and do tell your friends. Bringing you the news from coast to coast across Frankston and the Mornington Peninsula, I'm Catie Sharp. See you for the next edition.